Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. So I got 2 more days off again, thank God. So especially after it was Super Bowl weekend, and yesterday was really bad at the store because it was like pouring down rain, and people were trying, and we thought that we were gonna get a tornado or something, or really bad stormy weather, so everyone was coming in to get stuff, and then on top of that, Thursday is discount day for seniors, and it's also prime rib. You can get prime rib for $9.99. So it was a crazy day, and unfortunately, I think work had called me early that morning, probably asking if I could come in early, even though I was already coming in. And then I was like, you know what? I want to sleep. So I mean, and you can't blame me. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I think most people wouldn't mind being able to sleep and instead of having to get up early, but despite the fact I do believe that getting up early, just going into work early and getting the work day done and over with so you can get home earlier is good. But I understand the appeal of not wanting to go in so early, want to sleep in a little bit. But then when I get there, one of the guys that's like probably 10 years older than me, or 5 years older than me, I don't know how old he is. He was like, oh, I've been here since 7, and his body type is not in a position to, like, he has to, he sweats a lot more and stuff, and it's more exhausting for him because, with his body type and all that. I felt so bad that, but then there's no point because it's too late. It was already done and over with. I just made up for it by working as hard as I could while I was there yesterday. So anyway, but like I said, I have 2 days off. Um, but if they did call me yesterday, I would feel like I would need to go in. The good news is I got my library books are taken care of for now, and I went to the bookstore today since it was sunny out, and of course on the way home I got stopped because one of our neighbors saw me and started talking to me, and she was very nice. I'm not the kind of person who feels comfortable just talking to people, unless I recognize they're like me in a way, like they feel more like my equal. And even though I'm an adult, I'm 30, I still don't feel like some of the people that are closer to my age are always, unless they're like geeks and nerds and stuff like that. I don't feel I was never very comfortable then. Growing up, I was always very shy and socially awkward and just was more. I mean, I wasn't the kind of person who would say the thing that was considered the wrong thing or something inappropriate. I just didn't really talk at all. I've always been very reserved and, like I said, very shy. So it's probably good that I talk to people when I'm by myself, as long as they're not dangerous or pervy or something. But it's still like, oh, and I didn't want to say I didn't care. It was just that she was very talkative, and I was like, okay, I want to get home so I can eat my lunch and take my heavy bags off my shoulders. But I didn't want to be rude either, so I made some non-committal noise. And I wasn't in that much pain. And the good news is I didn't have to go to the bathroom because I was drinking coffee, and coffee goes right through me. But it was just, and then of course I found out that my dad called me twice, and I don't. So he was a little worried. So I had to explain to him that was a little detour on the way home. Although I might have stayed longer at the bookstore itself because I was trying. This month's sale is women authors. You buy one get one free. So I was trying to find a woman author book that I was interested in. It's very hard because I'm a mood reader, and then I'm like sometimes you're just not in the mood for certain types of books. And then there are some authors that I was trying to find their books, like Ruth Ware. I read Woman in Cabin 10. I'm gonna read The Lion Game next month. So I was trying to see, are there any other Ruth Ware books? And of course, they only had Woman in Cabin 10. There's like, okay, I already read it. I got it from Lumber. I enjoyed it, but I don't want to buy it. And it was also a hardback book, so it's even, hardbook. Yes, it's very cheap there. It's a used bookstore. The most expensive book's like $4 or $5, but it's still not. It's still not necessarily worth buying from a genre that you like. you're getting into. It's still kind of new to you and you don't know if you love it or not. So, I of course went to the old standby and got me some fantasy. This is I've already been reading this author, Cinda Williams Chima. I have read The Demon King. This is Cinda Williams Chima. I read The Demon King. I'm in the middle of reading The Exiled Queen. And I have not got the other. What's the other series called? She has another spin-off series after the Seven Realms series. Don't go black screen on me. What is it? Okay. The Air Chronicles. I don't have any of those yet. But, like I said, I think I told you guys the story before, but I had got my nephew, the Warrior Heir. Or not my nephew, my cousin. I got him because I thought, oh, you seem like you're kind of interested in reading. And he is, but I think he's probably one of those people that doesn't read a lot. And I only read certain books. So I had gotten it. I don't even know if he still has it. So that was years ago before I started watching BookTube and heard Reagan talking about how great Cinda Williams Chima is, and before I started collecting her series. So, but I figure, you know what, let me go ahead and buy this, especially because it's a female author, and I probably wouldn't find it that much cheaper at Books A Million. I mean, it would only be like $3. No, I think hardbacks are $4 originally, and then paperbacks that the regular paperbacks are $3, and then the mass market are $2. Hi, Rascal. Come on, there's room. Rascal, you stinker. You see that little brown? That's Rascal. So, I don't know much about this series. I don't know if it's in the same place. It's the same world. But here's a little thing on the back. There's no actual description. But a wizard prince in exile, thirsting for revenge. A girl with a curse, striking back against a ruthless king. Together they will burn the kingdom to its rotten core. But that's all it says in the back, so, you know. At least it's better than a bunch of blurbs. Because it annoys me when now, I mean, granted, those books, not always, but sometimes they will, like, have something in the inside flap. The description, you know, what the book is about in the inside flap. But I can't stand it when books just have a whole bunch of blurbs saying, oh, Oprah liked this book, or Kirkus Review gave this book 4 stars, or, you know, it's like, I don't care who loved it, you know, it's great that they loved it, or it got a lot of good reviews. I want to know what it's about. I don't care, you know, because just because they like it doesn't mean I'll like it. I just think it's incredibly annoying when they just get blurbs saying, you know, Reese Witherspoon's book club loves this, Oprah loves this, you know, Time Magazine rated this, blah, 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 or it's like, I mean, sometimes if it's an author that I love myself, then maybe, like, one of the books I bought, I know it's very reminiscent of an author that I like, but just because they love it or give it good reviews does not mean that I'm gonna love it too. I need to know what it's about. I pick books because, you know, of what they're about, because of if they're a genre I like reading, and then if it's the premise of something that I'm interested, then I will read, and then I will buy it. I don't care. I don't buy books just because this person loved this book. I mean, the closest I come to it is if my friends love it too, but then I have to watch and find out what it's about, if, you know, just because my friends like it, because some of my friends and I have different taste. But yeah, so far I like Cinda Williams Chima, so I'm gonna. Oh, so Leigh Bardugo blurbed this book. Oh, and Kirkus. I probably saw it without realizing it. Like at the corner of my eye saw Kirkus reviews. But oh, it's a star. It's considered a starred review. Oh, it's on Epic Reads, which I follow that channel, and which I heard from Steve Donahue that if it's Kirkus reviews started, then that's a really good sign. But again, I don't care who gave it good stars or who reviewed it or if this person, this celebrity liked it. I want to know what it's about. So the other fantasy book, I Am That Spy Woman, is by an author I've read before. Although I got rid of her other book, I didn't keep it. I liked the book. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great, but I figured, you know what, am I going to really read this again? But that is Renee Dunfield, The Child Finder. And she has an, and from what I gather, I'm guessing this kid is going to go missing or something, and this person's going to have to go find them, and there's like a fairy tale-esque feel to it. But like I like her, her magical realism. Although there's not a lot of magic, I think it was more of the main character, in that other book, the prisoner saw everything as magic, and the way they would cope with being in this prison was to imagine there was magic in this prison, and so I don't know if this is gonna have more magic or be more magical realism. I hope it is. Like I said, some of it sounded very intriguing, like with the description and everything. And again, another book that it has the description of what's about in the flap, but on the back it's all a bunch of blurbs. It's like, again, I don't care who blurbed it. I mean, yeah, it might get okay, fine. To be fair, it might get my attention if it's an author that I like I said, but at the end of the day, I want to know what it's about. So, and it's a bargain price book. So I don't know if this was a Books a Million book or if this was from another bookstore, but it has a bargain price. I think that's a Books a Million bargain price tag. I think their bargain price tags are blue. I don't know, but anyway, so yeah, now referring to the one I mentioned that's by an author I already really enjoy, and that is, the book isn't by an author I enjoy, but it's reminiscent of an author that I like, and that is The Chalk Man by C.J. Tudor. And like I said, I've heard it's reminiscent of Stephen King, and particularly It, actually. And that's one of my favorite Stephen King books. And I'm almost ready to do my video where I compare the two film adaptations of It. I just haven't. I gotta finish watching the miniseries. But first, I wanna, that's one of the things I want to do this evening, along with I want to catch up on The Magicians, which I just found out awesome news ever that my two actors who play my two favorite characters on the show are gonna be at GalaxyCon, the convention I've been going to every summer except for last year, because we went on the cruise, and cruises are not cheap. So they are gonna be there, so that's so cool. I was very excited. I remember thinking, oh, it'd be so cool if they were there, but I didn't think it would happen now. I wasn't thinking, I didn't think I would get that lucky, but it happens. I'm so excited. Unfortunately, I have to wait. So my mom wants me to wait because she wants me to wait until I get my credit card bill first, and then I will find, and then we'll check it out. But anyway, back to the books. So I know it's about a bunch of kids that used to draw these chalk drawings, and I don't know if there's like a murder involved. Oh, and the name Eddie. Oh, and they're British too, so. they like these chalk drawings that they have are like their secret code for communication with their kids. And I'm guessing, I think someone gets murdered or something, or like something like, I don't remember. I don't remember what people said, but I've been kind of mildly interested in this, and it's good because I got it at Givens, which is it's only $4 for original. You know, it's only $4. Unfortunately, it's not a female author. Although if it was a female author, I imagine they would probably be like recommend, oh, well, pick up another book then, so you can get one free. And I have done that before. I did do one time. I can't remember what the sale was, where it was like buy one get one free kind of deal. And I did. I bought 2 books and then I got 2 free. So I've done that before. But this was one of those ones where when it might be gone next time I go there, so I better get it now. And you know, it was only $4. I figured, you know, and normally hardbacks are like $20, $20 or $30 at Books A Million, so you can't beat $4. Okay, now, so on to what am I reading right now. So I finished The Warden and Spinning Silver. I really liked both those books. Spinning Silver is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and I would grab them, show them to you, but I'm too lazy to go get them. It's a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, which Rumpelstiltskin has always been kind of one of my favorites. I don't know what that says about me, because it's funny that when I was a kid, I like the princess stories, but my favorite Disney movies were not the princess ones, except for Beauty and the Beast. Although Belle isn't technically a princess, but you do have a prince. But mine were Robin Hood, Sword in the Stone, Peter Pan. Those are all my favorite Disney movie stories. But Rumpelstiltskin, I've always been intrigued by it. And then before I started not liking Once Upon a Time, that's one of the things that hooked me in was their interpretation, the writers and the actor who played him, Robert Carlyle's interpretation of Rumpelstiltskin. And I liked the approach they went with the character. They made him a man first, and then he becomes this sort of demonic, half human, half demon kind of entity. This, you know, he takes, when he's trying to protect his son from going to war, because the Duke of their land where they live, that runs their land, that owns it, is, you know, recruiting boys to go to be soldiers for him at age 13. And Rumpel, that's, you know, that's what they call him, Rumpel. He had been a soldier before. And he knew at the end of the day, the only way you were going to go home is if you died or got wounded. So, and he, you know, back in the day, he wanted to go home because he heard his wife was pregnant. He wanted to be there for her, to support her and help her raise the baby. So, because he knew he would probably die on the battlefield against the ogres. So he purposely breaks his leg so he can see his wife, to be there for his wife, to help her raise their child, so the child will not be fatherless like he was. So he breaks his leg on purpose, which maybe that was not the best approach. But then the rest of his life, first of all, his wife is ungrateful. She's pissed off that her husband hurts himself. So he abandons the battlefield, now has the label of coward. So he could go home and be there for her, to help her raise a child, because raising a child is hard enough as it is. And, I mean, I don't have to be a parent to know that. But she's all like, I want you to die on the battlefield in glory. I want to be an honored widow, and you just abandon, and the only reputation you have is a coward. It's like, I want to punch her and everybody else who basically bullied him and mocked him for that he hurt himself just so he could go home to be with his wife, to take care of her and to help her raise their child. And, you know, and now that was my anger about that. Had nothing to do with bad writing, because I think that was, at the time, the writing was still good. But, so years later, his wife leaves him for Captain Hook, so there's that whole drama in the story, so that's why there's a divide between Hook fans and Rumpel fans. There's always, the characters were put into a rivalry, so now you either are a fan of Hook or you're a fan of Rumple, and I was a fan of Rumple. So I admit that my opinion on the show and the way they treat his character is a little biased. But so he's trying to protect his son, and they try to run away, and they get caught by the captain of the guard, who bullies him and tells his son, guess what? Your dad is a coward, and your mom left him because of his cowardice reputation. And, he basically bullies him and knocks him down, and that's all Bang knows is sees his father being bullied and ridiculed and constantly, belittled. And then, so he comes back. They meet this baker who helps them out, and the baker tells them about the reason why the Duke has all his powers, because he has the Dark One, this powerful entity, who controls him with his dagger. So there's two options: either he tries to convince Rumple, that either you need to steal the dagger to control the Dark One, or you kill him and you become the Dark One. And Rumple, of course, facing this demonic entity, which is pretty scary, and you can't blame him for being absolutely terrified and not being able to have the courage to face this monster and force this monster under his control. You can't blame him. And he ends up accidentally, because the monster mocks him just like everybody else and bullies him just like everybody else, he stabs the Dark One in anger and tired of being mocked, and he himself becomes the Dark One, and that's how he becomes the Rumpelstiltskin we know from the original Miller's story. And he becomes, unfortunately, addicted to magic, which at the time, at first, I didn't want to admit that he was addicted, but then thinking about it now, years later, it's like, yeah, he was addicted, But the way they wrote the other characters, the people he loved the most in the world, they were not there for him, did not take care of him how he should be taken care of. They did not help him. They basically belittled him, made him feel bad about himself, and did not help his addiction. That's not how you deal with someone that's addicted. You don't, you're being bad, you shouldn't be using magic, you're addicted, now you go in the corner and be punished. That's, in my opinion, that's not how you handle it. Now, I might think it's a very strong person to be able to handle someone who has a problem like that. But either way, it's still not the way they should handle it. But everyone's like Belle's a saint. Which, yes, I love, he also, they combined Rumple's story with the Beauty and the Beast story. He became the Beast. So Belle became his true love. But then, she couldn't handle it, I guess, the way they wrote her. But everyone else. The problem is the way they wrote Rumple is they made him like this horrible, boyfriend, and just, but she also, in my opinion, on my side, because either you were on Belle's side or Rumple's side, which it should not be that. And you either were like, oh, poor Belle, he's an abusive director, she deserves better, and because the way they wrote him, and then the way they wrote her, is she's constantly belittling and making feel bad. So there's people who are like myself who are like, no, don't act like Belle is the perfect little saint. Rumple's the one who deserves better. He deserves someone that won't make him feel bad about himself. Of course, everyone has free will, everyone makes their own choices, but I think people conveniently forgot that he had been cursed. But it was just a big toxic mess, and both of them were written horribly, and the writers seemed to not know what to do with them because they weren't their favorites. And that's part of why I was so, frustrated, angry about the show. But that's neither here nor there. I've moved on. I don't want to debate with anyone. I probably shouldn't have said anything in the first place, but once you get me started, I can't help it. I hopefully no one that watched, none of you guys that watch me are huge fans and are like, oh, Rumple was horrible. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, because if there's someone out there that watches my channel that is, I don't want to lose you guys as fans, and I don't mean to belittle you if you're someone who, it's just I feel very strongly, I admit I'm biased Rumple, and I'm more on his side, that character's side, than anything, but it never should have been Belle versus Rumple. They shouldn't have given us the couple and then basically destroy that couple and make them out as toxic. I know it's a risk. It's probably risky for me to bring it up because I don't know if any of you guys are fans and feel completely opposite of me. I hope that's not the case, and I don't want to start trouble with any of you. So, you know. But let's actually get back to the books. I don't even remember why I brought that up in the first place, but I did read a little bit more of Scott Lynch's Red Seas Under Red Skies. So they're basically, once again, continuing their time on the Poison Orchid. I think it's Orchid. I don't know if it's Orchard. I think it's Orchid. And like I said, the last thing, and I think they've just come across another ship that they might pillage. And like all the original crew from the Red Messenger doesn't want to be the help anymore. That's not the word that they use, but they want to get back and be part of the regular crew of the Poison Orchid and not just be the people that help clean the ship and get bullied and do all the menial jobs and all that. And like I said, Jean likes Ezri. I think he has a bit of a crush on her. Or at least he wants to have sex with her. So I haven't read a lot, but I am almost done. I could potentially get it done by the end of the week. Oh, I remember. I totally lost track. I remember. The reason why I brought up Once Upon a Time is because I was saying how Rumpelstiltskin is one of my favorite fairy tales. And I like before everything went in the direction that I didn't like, I liked their version of the character. And I want another version that's similar to that of the character. I want someone to write it, which really, I would love to write a novel, but I'm not very good. I'm just not going to discipline myself and be like, if I really want this to actually sit down and write. Like, I try to, but I prioritize the wrong things, as Steve Donahue puts it. But I should take the advice that I give I give Terry all the time, which is if you want this kind of story, then write it yourself. And I definitely, I really should do that. But, anyway, I finished Spinning Silver, which is Rumpelstiltskin. And that was a really good story. It's slow moving, but it was still very interesting, very entertaining. I liked the characters. It was a good story. And then the other one I finished The Warden, which that one was interesting. A good starting place for Trollope for me. I'm going to keep going, but I did give it 3 stars because I liked it, which 3 stars, as everyone else has said in the past, is not a bad rating. It's more like you didn't absolutely love it, but you didn't hate it either. And you're not going to totally walk away from it. You're going to, especially if the author writes more books, which he does, which he has plenty of books. And I'm going to continue the series as well. But The Warden was very interesting. It was very kind of a gray morality story where a character was getting money, was inheriting money that should have gone. The Warden character, Septimus Harding, was inheriting this money from the hospital, the guy who owned the hospital. But then the guy who wanted to marry his daughter was like, no, actually this money should go to charity. This money was meant to go to charity, to the poor. And it's one of these things that's like, they probably deserve it more than he does, but then that's his daughter's livelihood, and he's not that wealthy. I mean, he's in a pretty good place financially, but he's not, I don't think was rich either. So it's his livelihood, but he's a good moral person, and he doesn't want to take this money from these people, so he's willing to give it up. But everyone keeps trying to talk him out of his friends and his daughter are trying to talk him out of giving it up. They're like, no, you deserve this money. And it's like, it's a very complicated situation because it's an unfair situation because yes, the poor people definitely deserve it more than he does. At the same time, you're taking away this guy's livelihood, him and his daughter. And of course, this was a time when women did not work. So this was their money, and until she married a rich guy or somewhat rich guy, she was depending on her father. So they were gonna live on a smaller. They would have to live on a smaller income. So it's understandable their hesitancy, but at the same time, the people that the money should go to deserve it a lot more, and it just got really bright and sunny. Wow. But yeah, it was definitely a good book. It's a very charming read. The author, it is very Dickens-esque, the writing style. And the author does kind of do a little bit of telling you things, which I think for today's books, today's novels, it would not work. But as I said in Goodreads, my Goodreads review, it's very charming that he does that. Then he kind of talks to the reader a little bit and explains things and implies things about characters. It's very stylized and a very charming thing for the story. So there are 6 books, so there's 5 more books to go. So the next one I think is the Barchester Towers. And I just realized, I think, at first I was thinking it was an actual tower, a physical tower that the title was referring to, but I think it's referring to a character that was introduced in this book. Tom Towers, who I think he runs the Jupiter, I believe, and I think it's a newspaper. That in the Warden, it was a newspaper that kind of exposed and made what's his name look like made the Warden, Septimus Harding, look like a bad guy. So I think that's who it's going to be about. That guy, Tom Towers. Okay, back to Red Seas and Red Skies. It's just a really fun. So far, this is a really fun series. I know it's hard to root for Locke because he's a thief. He doesn't treat people very fairly. He's not even like a Robin Hood figure because he doesn't give them money to the poor. He just keeps it for himself, for him and his crew, his friends. So he's not a nice guy. So it's hard, but he's so unapologetic about it. And he's just so entertaining, and I don't care. For me personally, I just enjoy the plot. I mean, maybe the one I saw a reviewer who begged the question of how do you root for Locke? He's not a character you root for. He's not very likable, and he's kind of a jerk. He's kind of a douchebag to people. But maybe that person's more of a character reader and wants to have a character that you can root for, and I don't need a character that I have to root for all the time. I mean, I don't want someone to be so horrible. To me, he has to do a lot more to be horrible enough for me to be like, I hate this character. Like, he has to do something really, really disgusting and horrible. Not disgusting like gross, but just slaughtering children or something. Or raping a woman or something. I mean, of course, the series is young, but I don't think Scott Lynch will do that. At least I hope he won't. So I don't know when I'll read the 3rd one. So, I have not read Fall of Giants, and I have not read any of my library books except for it's really bright. Except for Flashback. So I originally was thinking, I need to take a break from this, and I think it's because I was feeling what Sophie was feeling, which is frustration and boredom. Be like, I'm tired of sitting here and doing nothing. I need to do more. Because it's right now she's in the hospital because she got wounded by this shadow thing. And so they're keeping her in the hospital for observation because she's slowly getting better, her and Fitz. So I was feeling I guess I was kind of feeling restless myself because not a lot was going on. But now I finally made it to chapter 24. And there's only 53 chapters in this, so as long as once I get to 30, I'll be this will be considered like halfway. But and hopefully that means that the story will pick up. And I think by chapter 30, Sophie will be out of the hospital. Sophie and Fizz will be out of the hospital and be able to train to fight. But it's just getting more and more intense each book. So much is going on, and oh my god, the thing that I love that it doesn't focus mostly on that. That's like a secondary plot, but oh my god, that the plot, the romance plot is driving me crazy because Sophie, either she's completely, I don't know if she's oblivious, in denial, or what, or she's so, like, so insecure about herself and doesn't think that highly of herself that she would never even suspect that. Both Keith and Fitz like her, and not because, not, and I don't mean like her as in, oh, you're my best friend, as in they have feelings for her, and maybe eventually on the verge of love. And they say and do these things that, it's like, oh, honey, why do you not see it? How can you not see it? How can you not see these boys like you? The problem is that they're both their best friends, so it's like they want it to be a fair fight. They want Sophie to choose, and they don't want to fight over her, or at least not in a really, they want to be fair to each other, because they're still friends. And then, of course, Fitz has learned some things about Keith that would make Fitz probably feel even more guilty and feel more, like, obligated to Keith, and feel like I wasn't a good enough friend to him. But there's just so many incidents where it continuously proves that, okay, he likes her. They like her. There's too many moments where it just continues to be like, okay, the only reason why they're because they like you. They're into you. Like, he's making they have this system called matching, where they match you up with someone that will be your perfect mate, your perfect spouse, so that you can have the right kinds of kids. So instead of being prejudiced about your skin color and eye color and stuff like that, they're more prejudiced about, like, if you have bad matches, and if you have a talent, or if your talent is dangerous or bad. And Sophie's a little uncomfortable because she's been raised among us, people like us. So, where there's no matchmaker, there's no match system, they don't match with certain people, there's no list of people that would be perfect match for you. But Fitz keeps pushing it, and he's like, oh, it's not as bad as it seems, he keeps encouraging her, you should sign up and everything, and trying to convince her, and it's like, the only reason why he's doing that is because he wants you to be on his list. He's hoping you'll be on his list, and he's hoping that you'll like him. It's funny that she keeps thinking about her crush on him, and afraid to tell him because of how she's afraid of how he'll react, and that he won't like her back. And it's like, oh my god, he does like you back. He has feelings for you, so you don't have to hope. He does have feelings for you. And I don't hate Fitz's character. I'm just more Team Keith in this situation. But there's nothing wrong with Fitz either. He's a sweet guy, and he's a good friend to her. He really cares about her, and there's nothing not to like about him. I mean, sometimes his personality things, like the constantly bringing up, but we're cognates, in his temper sometimes, and how he pushes people away, can sometimes be incredibly annoying. And he lashes out, and I'm so frustrated with him right now because he's being so unfair to his parents, because Alvar is not, he's trying to be a horrible human being, or a horrible elf, I should say. And he doesn't remember, the Neverseen did something, so he doesn't remember anything. And Fitz is determined, and maybe Fitz is right, because he's determined to be like, he's lying, he's an act, or the Neverseen are planning something. And there's a good possibility that he's right, because there's evidence to prove that in the past. And to be careful and not trust anything, but he's so not being fair to his parents, because as far as we know, Alvar doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember the horrible things he's done. And Alvar is his parents' first child. It broke their heart. He's their baby, and he's their first baby, so of course, and Fitz is does not understand, because he's committed crimes, he's murdered people, Alvar has. So, and I can understand Fitz's anger, but at the same time, I feel like I said, I feel like he's being unfair to his parents. And I see this trope all the time, where either the parent, where parents or the kids are grieving while the parents or the kid is ignoring the other one while they're also grieving too. And it's like, you're not the only one grieving here. Your child or your parent is also struggling and grieving and trying to understand this, and all you care about is your own. And granted, people are only human, but still, of course, these are elves, not humans, but anyway, you get my point. It's very frustrating. These characters are very, these kinds of situations drive me crazy, because it's like, And I'm seeing that, and this happens in It, when, Bill loses Georgie to the monster, his parents are grieving, and, like, they totally ignore their other son who's living and alive and is feeling, blaming himself, and is still so, he lost his brother at such a young age. Yet his parents don't seem to care. They're lost in their own grief, so they just ignore their own son. And I understand. I'm not a parent, so I can't begin to understand how that feels. But at the same time, it's like, your son, your other child is still alive, and he is in pain too. You're not the only one in pain. And I feel like it's a similar situation where Fitz is not the only one that's in pain. His parents are too. His parents are struggling, and this is their child. This is their first child. So I don't like it when parents or kids or the other child does that. Like, whereas, like, they get angry, they take out their anger on them. Like, how can you do this? How can you, it's like, you're not the only one that's grieving. They are too. Of course, no one's perfect. And that's an extreme case. But anyway. So, yeah. So I have very strong feelings. And like I said, the whole romance thing just drives me nuts. And I kind of get annoyed after a while. The whole, if you have that trope of love, I'm more tolerant of love triangles than most people. I don't like the kind of love triangles where it's like, where it's two friends like the same girl. Or the same, or two, or if it's the reverse where two girls like the same guy and they are friends. It just annoys me because it's like, you're supposed to, in the end, you want to take a side, and it's like, and you don't, and it just gets so tiring when they put two friends, and then they are trying to be good friends, and there's all this drama because they're trying to, they know they don't want to hurt their friends, and that's what they're doing in this because Keith and Fitz are friends. I mean, at least though, because this is a middle grade or YA, I don't know anymore, because sometimes the kids seem like they're still middle grade age in their maturity level, but other times I think, well, they're not that young. I mean, they're 15, they're like around the oldest being 15, so it's just sometimes they seem very young for their age. So I don't know if this is middle grade or not, but either way, but it's just very much. So, very much a frustrating situation, and sometimes I don't remember how old they are anymore. But anyway, that's what's going. Those are my feelings on that. And this bookmark is falling apart. Or at least the tassels are. The tassels are falling apart. This is why, I mean, I still love these bookmarks because they have nice pictures. They have cool pictures on them. But the tassels don't stay. They end up falling apart because I travel with these books all the time. So, I finally started working on War and Peace again. So I read a little bit the other night. I had to put tape on this because the cover's starting to come off. Where the characters are right now at war, and the battle has started for these characters, and the Prince Andre is very excited because he's very excited because he finally gets to do something, take action. He doesn't just sit around do nothing, but he's coming to realize that there's not a lot of respect for the part of the army that he's in, the regiment he's in. There's not a lot of respect, and they don't take them very seriously. But he has gone to report to this one person who realizes, oh crap, we gotta do something. We gotta take these people more seriously. I think that's the impression I was getting. So mostly we're with the male characters. They haven't been with any of the female characters because we're on the battlefield, and this is, the time when women weren't soldiers. I don't even know if Russia, they allow that. Like, if there was a war, would women go to war like they do here in the United States? I don't know, but I'd be curious. So the good news. This is, to me, despite the fact it's a really long, chunky book, it's still very readable. I mean, that's the thing about Stephen King too, is his books are very readable. Which I almost bought Stephen King today. I almost bought The Body by Stephen King, but I might have the book, that novella one in my collections because I have some collections. I'll have to look. But what was I gonna say? Okay, I know I started talking about. I wonder if I can't remember what I was gonna say. I forgot. Oh, I was telling you how this is very readable. It's just a really long, chunky book, and the same in Stephen King's novels are readable too. They're just some of them are really, really long, and some of his novels are actually in pretty big print. This one's still small print, a little bit bigger than minuscule in my opinion, but it's easy. It's actually easy to read, and I imagine I could see where people would probably prefer Tolstoy's writing over Dostoevsky, especially because Dostoevsky gets very philosophical. Although I loved Crime and Punishment personally, so I think I'll be one of the few people who probably prefers this one over Anna Karenina. But I haven't read Anna Karenina, so I can't really say that. But I'm really loving this story, and it got me realizing this is a war story. If you think about it, so I'm just not a big fan of reading stories where characters are mostly on the, walking on the battlefield and just talking about, and being guys and just, although I thought Red Badge of Courage was okay, but I thought Things I Care was kind of boring. I mean, I understand what the point of that novel was, and it's what these guys are carrying, literally and metaphorically. Like the weapons they carry, the burdens that weigh on them and stuff. I get that. I get that message. But not a lot is basically these guys walking around. From what I remember, not a lot happens. It's these guys walking around sharing stories about their lives and the things that they carry, as the title implies. At the time when I read, what was it called? All Quiet on the Western Front. At the time, I thought it was boring, but maybe reading it now, I might like it a little bit better. Funnily enough, the guy who in the movie version, I just saw his name because I was watching it, and the actor who plays the main guy in it, in All Quiet on the Western Front, is the same actor who played Bill Denbrough in it, the adult version. But I can't remember. It's not Harry Anderson. Harry Anderson is the other guy. He plays Richie. I do not remember his name. I can't forget. I can't remember his name. I mean, I just watched the movie last night, so I saw his name on the credits. Well, anyway, but yeah. So I don't know how I feel about war stories. I guess I just don't care for the whole talking about being on the battlefield all the time and just shooting people and walking around and the bad weather and the horrors of it all, the ugliness of war and all that, or at least not in the whole book. This is more about this is a little more interesting, but then people change, their tastes change, and sometimes they think they don't like something, but then they realize, wait, maybe I do like this, or I like it now, but I didn't like it before. But yeah, so it's very readable, and I could probably get through book 2 or part 2 quickly. I mean, I'm on chapter 12, so there's only 21. I saw 21 chapters in part 2. So I can get through those, and I kind of like how it's divided into parts because it feels less intimidating that it's divided into different sections. I haven't continued with Carnival for the Dead. That doesn't mean I'm not going to keep going. I just haven't read it lately. I did start Washington Black finally, which that is there so far not a lot happened. The last thing I read was that the master's brother has shown up, Kit, which she doesn't, not a brother. Our main character, Washington Black, Wash, does not have a brother. He has an older sister. I forgot. And the older sister and Wash are called summoned to the big house to be servants for that evening's meal. And Rascal, what are you doing? and the master's brother is like, I'm gonna go on this adventure on this air balloon and everything, and I was wondering if I could take one of your slaves with me. And he's like, at first the master's like, this is ridiculous and thinks it's a silly idea, but he's like, okay, fine, whatever. And I'm guessing, and now the last thing I read was before, and it's not, the chapter hasn't ended, but it was, I needed, the chapter was kind of long, so I needed a little bit of a break. So I stopped at the first page break I found, and all I know is that Gaius, one of the, I think he's a white man. I think Gaius is white. So he comes and tells Kit that Wash has been summoned by the master's brother, and Kit is like, no, he's not taking him. You can tell him, you just lie to him, tell him that Wash, you never went to see Wash and all that. You never went to come. But he's like, Guy's like, I can't do that. So Kit is forced to send her brother to this guy, to the brother of their abusive, horrible master. And she says something that makes me wonder if the brother is gay. Either that, or maybe she's afraid that the brother will hit him. But she says something like, don't let him touch you. Something along those lines. So I don't know if it's because the brother's gay, or she's worried that he will hit Wash if he disobeys or something. I don't know. But that's really all that I've gotten up to. And like I said, I haven't read much of the other books. But now Tome Topple's officially begun. No, I don't know if it's... I'm still a little confused if that means, if, it's 11:50, if it's 12... Because 12 midnight is when the new days start. I mean, not day, but the new... But yeah, I guess day is the only word I can think of where that starts. It goes into the next day. So I don't know if when they say, 6:59 and at 6:59, if that's when you're supposed to start, or do I count today at 7:59? But I'm guessing 6:59. But I usually interpret 6:59 like 59 minutes right before a minute before before the next hour, beginning the next day, which is midnight. That's how I'm interpreting that as. So I started at 6:59 last night, or not 6:50, 11:59. I don't know why I keep saying 6. 11:59. That's when I start. That's when I count the beginning of Tome Topple. So I am reading. As you guys can see, Red Season of Red Skies, Fall of Giants, War and Peace, Flashback, Carnival for the Dead, The Exiled Queen. Like I said, Washington Black does not count as a tome, but I am reading that this month. And then I needed to read one of my other library books. I picked, okay, I'll bring Fates and Furies, and I brought it, but I never got around, I didn't start it when I was at the bookstore, so, anyway, okay, I better go, because I have not touched my soup, and it's probably cold, but that was going to be my lunch, but then I got sidetracked on the way here, like I said, so I need to start eating that before it gets too late, because last time my mom was like, we're going to eat lunch in a couple hours. When I stopped, I decided to come down and finally eat something around 3, close to 3. I mean, it might have been 2:30 at the time, but my mom's not here to be like, oh, it's too late to be eating lunch, because we'll be eating dinner in a couple hours. And like I said, it's probably cold though. So if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you're enjoying your reading. If you are, please feel free to share what you're reading in the comments below. And I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!